Now the point is, where are we as a country? We have had issues of mismanagement, others have managed, others have not done well and all that. The critical point is, what are we doing different? Or what are we doing to improve our situation? It would have been very sad if our honorable MP for Karaga, Alhaji Dr. Amin Adam Anta, coming to Parliament, all if he had to say was to just say, okay, reassurance, and nothing done. We would have, or personally, I wouldn't have gotten a reason to come and sit in this studio. But we all listened to him speak, and back to the Honorable MP's position, the issue of fiscal discipline is what he is looking at. The issue of prioritization is what he is looking at. And largely, if you interrogate his statement and would want to analyze it, you would say he's touching on expenditure cuts and then to some extent mobilizing revenue effectively to support the country moving forward. And I love how he ended.
To draw my attention. So I think, Shamima, you mentioned the dollar when you were mentioning the national debt. You said $742 billion. Ghana citizens' debt. Yes. All right.
Okay, so I'll withdraw that one. I had noted it.
Oh, you had noted
yes,
it? Oh.
I wanted to prompt her on that.
Yeah.
I wanted to humbly remind her that
so Mark from USA actually drew my attention.
And we are even advocating that even in our transactions, we should do more of Ghana cedis than dollars. I honestly wanted to do that. Yes, she spoke about indicators and everything. And I'm back to my point. If we were static, if this government had sat in cabinet to say ignore them, I mean Ghanaians, if we weren't empathetic enough, then it would have been a sad situation. And he has sat here. We all have had conversations here. We have listened to professors in this country, although we can't hold anybody strongly responsible to their opinion. But people had predicted doom for this country. And I at the same time sat here to give you and our viewers some level of reassurance. And I told you I was very confident in this current crop of leadership we have. Yes, for challenges, they will come. And Annie, this morning, I am glad we are going as intellectual and factual as possible to say even with COVID, we soaked the pressure, we stabilized the economy, and today, you were mentioning the figures of inflation. And I was here, I couldn't argue. All I did was to apologize and as well reassure. From 54 to today, 22.8, Annie, %.
Who took us to 54?
I am telling you, even if we did, what is significant, and that makes the NPP a very unique, or that gives us a unique selling point. The position of absorbing the heat, sitting back on the drawing board, and bringing in measures to curb the situations that we are in. It wasn't deliberate that we had to get to 54. But our ability to stand by the fact, not come to tell Ghanaians that we have the dead goat syndrome, not painting position or posturing of Ethiopia, but rather going back to the drawing board to work towards improving, to work towards gaining the confidence of not even just IMF, but other Ghanaians who are in this country and are willingly investing in the infrastructural and all developmental aspects of our country. Annie, most importantly, when you look at the analysis of the review that was done in Parliament, what caught my eye was about the fact that 273 billion Ghana cedi was reduced as part of appropriation. That is 2.0% or so. This is a very great move to say this is a government that is willing to actually sit and say, let's get the right thing or let's improve on where we are.
By IMF conditions.
Yes, of course.
You see, what I want to, the foundation I want to, Rabi, the foundation I want to lay is that you came into office, met IMF conditions. Yes. You extended the facility for a year.
Yes.
And then you, after the extension of the facility, yes, we now started going down, and you would say it's COVID.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
Now, after COVID, we were free from IMF. We had to manage the economy ourselves. Then we wrote this economy ourselves again into the hands of the IMF. for the IMF to now support us again to bring down inflation, bring down all the fiscal numbers and the statistics that we're now referring to. So are we saying that as a government we're not able to do anything without any external oversight?
So before even the IMF came with the conditionalities, I spoke about the PCPEG. The COVID recovery plan that we had.
Yes.
In fact, that gave the IMF the strength to even have that confidence in us. Look at the speed at which we took to reach the staff level agreement.
Yeah.
It never happened in this country because we had a living document that spoke to everyone who reviewed it that this is a country that is willing to sit back, to see how best we can look at. And I was telling you the other time that, look, we are torn in between a situation of expenditure and revenue mobilization. And I've said it over and will say it today. However, even before going on expenditure and revenue mobilization, the reduction of 31% points in terms of inflation has to communicate to myself and you, Annie, that look, where we are has to do with leadership that is listening. How do we cut expenditure? And people have asked us over and over. And I will tell you, over 20 million Ghana cedis that was saved in the first year, even on trips. When we went to the UN General Assembly, how many people went there? On our roads today, Annie, people were talking, and this tells you our government is a listening one. The maintenance cost even on our V8s is something that was eating deep in our coffers. We never refused to listen. We went back there and said, look, let's withdraw all. Let's subject it to approval by Office of the Chief of Staff, of course, who is also a woman that has been empowered to serve effectively in this government. We came back to say salaries of appointees, ministers, Annie. And I'll always say, today, MPP minister and an MP who doubles as a minister takes the same salary as NDC MP who sits in Parliament. That is telling you, looking at the physical discipline, that is telling you empathizing with the people, Annie.
At what point did you decide to empathize with the people?
From day one. Annie.
That's not true.
From day one.
That's not true.
When you said that is not true, I was also disagree with you because giving out policies, even from the point of 2017, if we are even going by the figures, we were doing single digits. We started and you admitted that we got confronted with a crisis. And being tied behind.
I only make reference to you.
And making reference, granted you're even making reference, being tied back to your hand tells you that. But me, Annie, you see, when people are making arguments of, and what have we done, and blah, 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 these policies I am coming to mention to you, these interventions that we have brought on board, these action and responses and reactions that we have brought back to Ghanaians will tell you that from day one, we have always been a listening government and a government that cares. Back to the budget statement. When you look at page 16, I know you have it with you and you probably would want to play it. It's talking about the same revenue mobilization I spoke about. And this is to demonstrate to you that there are measures being taken. Paragraph 77 says, and I read, Mr. Speaker, in line with this commitment, in line with its commitment, I believe as government, to ensuring all disclosure of retained internal generated funds by public institutions, government has deployed Ghana.gov platform to over 1,500 public institutions and also roll out the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System, GIFMIS, to 287 IGF reliant public institutions. And I will still come back to it. 78 says, as at the end of June, 140 public institutions, including GRA, had gone live and received payment through the platform, totaling Ghana cedis 56.4 billion, an increase of 34.6% compared to the same year. That is the same period of year. That's within. I know someone will talk about harassment of taxpayers. Someone will say, but of course, reinforcing. Of course, going back to make effort. Of course, collecting to say, look, this is what we are doing to cushion ourselves. Of course, saying even upon the crisis, thousands of workers had to still remain at work and not rationalized or rendered redundant at home. Is what we are talking about. Then when you skip, because of the time, to come to, paragraph 82, it comes to tell you in doing more. And you remember we spoke about issue of property rates, collection, and all that, how we could synergize all the revenues that are collected, having them on a platform and tracking to avoid what theft and mismanagement. It tells you that government will reinstitute the integrated property tax system to synthesizing data from MMDAs, land valuation, ECG, and other relevant government agencies to create comprehensive digital property record database that will transform property data management and ensure a more efficient and accurate property tax system. Everywhere in this world, this is done properly. We willing to even do it more is what makes me tell you we are an empathetic one. Now you come back to what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia told us in UPSC. In attempt to tell you that he is worried, he has been part of the system, he has seen it, he is acknowledging the fact that Ghanaians are not happy, and when inshallah given the mandate, he would give us more improvement and much better conditions than we are enjoying today. He goes to say, dealing with corruption through digitalization in the cashless society. And we all do agree that face-to-face is what kills us. But when you have a system in place where you don't even get to influence anybody's decision, where you don't get to harass anybody or even subtly beg or ask for any amount, it will help us as a country. These are all measures being put in place by this government. And this is not to say futuristic. It has already started. Because when you go on the account controller and accountants general department, their payroll system will tell you it is anti-ghost names currently. The NDC was only able to clean about 3,000. We did, as at last year, more than 7,000 ghost names cleaned. Difference 4,000. We do, but that tells you the system is fishing them out. It is synergized with their team numbers.
Those names out today.
That is why I have made reference to 3,000 versus 7,000. And it tells, I am just telling you, that still says there is improvement. That still tells you this current government, under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and able subordination of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, inshallah, who will be the president of Ghana, is doing something about it more. And that is why you see the number increasing from 3,000 to 7,000 is not a joke. Today, you go to most institutions and you have the clogging machine. They are tracking commitment, they are tracking discipline, and all this different system we are talking about. All this is not just being read, it is being implemented. That is what I mean by it is on the go. And the digitalization, though somebody will say Bawumia never invented it, but Bawumia has actually been implementing the digitalization. I'm just telling you, though they will say he didn't invent any digitalization in this country, he is doing much better in terms of digital. And the GiveMis is really checking corrupt practices.
But GiveMis didn't start. GiveMis was not implemented by this government.
That's what I just told you, although they will say he never invented it. I'm not claiming.
Okay.
I wouldn't go and borrow anybody's policy and say we did it. No, I wouldn't do that thing. I'm not saying NPP started the GiveMis. I'm just telling you it is being implemented. I have seen successive governments that have come to this country and will not even continue beautiful policies of their predecessors. It happens, and that is what we have always been advocating for. So what I am finally telling you on that before I progress is that he said, I entered politics to serve the nation. And somebody was mentioning character, and this is where we come. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will not come to UPSA and tell you 4 years isn't enough to govern a country. Then the next moment he'll come and stand and tell you 4 years, 4 years can do, and for that matter, period doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long you stand. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will not do that. He tells you, my passion is solving problems. My passion is helping the poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged in the society. Accumulation of wealth is not and has never been my passion or ambition. Then he went on and on to tell you how he's going to get the NHIS, the DVLA, and even the social interventions that today we are enjoying.